500 miles under a full moon at Darlington can make for some strange twists and turns, but nothing strange about this. Seeing Mark the Kid Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, pulling into a victory lane. All the talk about young drivers these days, well, here is a 50-year-old man driving into victory lane at a racetrack that is 60 years old. Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. Here we are, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and John Roberts. We have Mark Martin behind us for the second time this year. Mark the Kid Martin from Batesville, Arkansas.
Mark Martin won this race.
Unbelievable.
And let me tell you something about this guy right here. He did not win with the previous teams that he's been with, and he was younger. So what this tells me is that he's with the best team he's been with in a long time.
And you bring a good point up, Kenny. He had a lot of success with Roush, and we all know what happened there a few years ago. But, you know, for him to get the opportunity to drive for Rick Hendrick had a lot of confidence in Mark. Let me tell you what, Fiends, this possibly could be Mark Martin's best year in the sport that he loves so much.
43 races at this track. He has won now twice and led 45 laps. He led the ones that count, and those were the ones at the end.
Well, tonight was a very interesting race to me, and I think what won this race was the pit call by his crew chief, Alan Gustafson. You know, keeping the car out on the track, knowing the track position was critical. And you know, Kenny, there's something about this guy right here. He got something in his inners that he just...
It's drive, desire.
Yes, and he can get down, get what he needs out of that car. There's something about Mark that I've always noticed over the years. When it comes to determination and grit, Mark Martin's got, you know, the Ripken.
Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken.
The Iron Man.
Certain athletes have this type of mentality. Mark Martin's got that.
I'd like to say that Mark the Kid Martin is an inch away from misery all the time. You know, you can go up there and you can be like that. Mark is right. Oh, God, he wants it so bad. So I think to be a great athlete, you have to be an inch away from misery all the time. Mark tell you that he's always been that way. But, you know, ever since his boy, Matt, said, look, Dad, I don't want to be a race car driver, Mark said, I'm going back to NASCAR. And oh my gosh, he's lit it on fire.
Some call him a pessimist, others call him a realist, but this is for real that Mark Martin is back into victory lane again after he had announced that he's going full-time in this car again next year. So competition, watch out. Let's give you a quick look at the highlights here of this revival of the Southern 500 here at the Darlington Raceway. The green flag had Matt Kenseth taking us to the lead right away as he had Jeff Gordon on row number 1 with him. And what a weekend it's been for Matt Kenseth. He has the pole and also a nationwide series race victory as well. Now, trouble for some great cars on this track tells you exactly how tough it is. Greg Biffle goes for a spin after showing he was one of the strongest, had one of the strongest cars. The number 2 of Kurt Busch, another great driver on this racetrack, goes for a spin as well. And a streak came to an end tonight. We'll talk about this a little bit more in depth later as Clint Boyer hit the inside wall very hard. And also, how about Kyle Busch, a near win last night, nowhere close tonight as Kyle Busch got disappointment. For Mark Martin, it was jubilation as he comes around to take the checkered flag for the second time behind the wheel of this 5-car for Hendrick Motorsports. And again, for Mark Martin, 43 attempts at this racetrack. Crew chief Alan Gustafson celebrating because you know you got one if you win at Darlington. See that smile on Mark Martin's face? He knows he truly took one away tonight and earned this victory in the revival of the Southern 500 here at Darlington. So you see the smile, and we're going to get a chance to talk to Mark Martin in a moment. I'm sure he's going to be just as happy as he's ever been because this win is huge.
This is very big. You can think back to how many beginning of the season, the problems. He's 34th or 35th in the points. This guy has moved to the top 12. Kenny, this guy is a candidate for the Sprint Cup Championship.
And I would also say, when we have Mark on here to talk to him, I think this rivals, could this be his best victory ever? 50 and a half years old, Southern 500. If you win here, you're the greatest. I mean, hey, it could be one of his best wins ever.
And we'll get a chance in just a moment to ask Mark Martin about that. We'll also take you from the green flag to the checkered flag here at the Darlington Raceway as they celebrate 60 years of racing here at this historic racetrack. Now Mark Martin has another piece of that history.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by Touch of Gray from Just for Men.
Welcome back to Victory Lane, everyone, as Mark Martin is celebrating in Victory Lane after 500 long miles at this revival of the Southern 500. It was only appropriate that it was blistering hot today because all the old Southern 500s on Labor Day were always very hot as well. So let's take you back now in time. We're going to take a look at the green flag, take you through the first 150 laps of this historic race at Darlington Raceway. Green flag right away with Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon on the front row. 7-time winner, Jeff Gordon. And it didn't take too long for the caution flag to come out as the 87 of Scott Speed got into it with a 13 of Max Pappas.
Yeah, here was just being over-aggressive on Scott Speed's part. Gets in the left rear corner of Max, you know, and affects both of them awful early in a race to be driving that aggressive, especially here at Darlington.
Here comes Jeff Gordon trying to take the lead away from Matt Kenseth, and he would get it.
But I'd like to point out, that's a championship move done by Matt Kenseth. He pulls over. We're not even 50 miles into the race. He says, go on, Jeff Gordon, and lead this race.
Scary moment of the race where we see Michael Waltrip flaming into the outside wall. Scary moment. Michael said it got awful hot inside the race car. But, oh, wait, this was just a spin. We'll get to that flaming part.
That's nothing new for Michael. He was testing his new brakes from Napa.
Yeah, but
well, he said they worked very well, by the way.
We are teasing you, race fans. Huge flames at the end here. We'll show you.
All right, so that one was okay for the 55, but a little bit later on in the race, as we see the 39 of Ryan Newman going by to take the lead away.
Yeah, here we just see some racing where the 07 just gets underneath, gets a little on the free side, has to move up into, collects Allmendinger. You know, Kenny, this is just, you know, to me, this here was just over-aggressiveness by Amirs. Too early in the race for these guys to be doing this stuff.
I'd like to say I'm very disappointed in a lot of these drivers. I know I wasn't out there, but I would like to say that bad move, but look at this right here. Casey Kane takes the lead from Ryan Newman, but a lot of wrecking after a record amount of cautions, people trying to fill the holes that weren't there. They did not race the racetrack. They made a major miscalculation tonight.
Good.
You don't see this very often. The number 48 of Jimmie Johnson going a lap down. They were out of the pit sequence, pitted under green, and went one lap down.
You know, Chad said it earlier on our show about the Sunoco pit strategy. He took that strategy, Johnny, off early. They all pitted. He stayed out 25, 30 laps. It bites him, and he ends up losing a lap right here. But you know what? That team's too good. It'll rally back, I have a feeling.
Let's take a look at one of the scariest moments of the night. Here goes Michael Waltrip on fire into the outside wall. Apparently, oil line came loose and got a little ugly.
He'll do anything for excitement.
Well, you know what? His motor grenaded. It looked like an old Hemi at Daytona. Now, watch this. You remember back in the day when you'd have a 400-something cubic inch motor blow up? This is what this thing, now, race fans, this was a blown motor. Just, it's amazing Mikey can even breathe in there, take all the oxygen away.
Very scary for any drivers. You see all this oil going into the corner there, you know, and with the safer walls and all the safety apparatuses and stuff. Good job on NASCAR's part. Unfortunate for Michael there.
Unfortunate for Jeff Gordon. Flat tire, had to come into pit, and he lost a lap.
Yeah, you know, anytime you pit in a racetrack, usually for a flat tire, as we see Jeff Gordon here, you're going to lose a lap, Kenny.
And Jeff was complaining, I have a loose wheel during this race, and it looks like they finally got that rectified, but, you know, loose lug nuts, and finally took care of it.
Here the number 9 of Casey Kane gets his Darlington stripe.
Yeah, and, you know, here he is leading the race, Johnny, and, you know, you're going to get these stripes, but, you know, this car at this point in the race, very strong, 2 to 3 tenths a lap quicker than any car in the racetrack is pulling away.
Team that just keeps getting better and better. The number 1, Martin Truex Jr., goes by the 9 to take the lead, and the number 1 car would lead many laps tonight.
Well, what happened is the 78 car is holding up the 9 car major, and Martin Truex catches him, and Casey says, you know what, good move, Kenny, you brought this up, good move, veteran driver saying, you know what, go ahead, I'm going to heed way, and they both proceed on by.
Martin Truex goes on to finish 6th in this race, holding it pretty well at this point, and trying to set himself up. Now, here we go. You know, Sam Hornish gets up out of the black, which is in the marbles, loses it off turn 2, and doesn't hit anything but flattens about every tire on the race car.
So that doesn't help at all for the tires on the number 77. Greg Biffle leads on the restart. He was going to be the one that would come out and lead most of the laps tonight, but so often in Sprint Cup competition, the guy who leads the most laps does not go on to win the race. But right now, Greg Biffle looked pretty strong, and he's been strong at this track before, 2-time winner here, and he might have had a chance again tonight to get another one.
And what I noticed in this first 150 laps of this race, a lot of strategy, Kenny. 2 tires, no tires, 4 tires, stay on the racetrack. A lot of lead changes, a lot of passing, a lot of activity leading up to a heck of a good race.
And we knew from watching last night's nationwide race this was going to happen. We talked about it on NASCAR race day. It was a ping pong. Remember the old ping pong game? Boop, 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 boop. Every caution, you knew there was going to be a different leader. Joey Logano took on right sides the last 4 to 5 pit stops. Never took on lefts. Race fans, the tires did not wear out, so it was 4-2, 4-2. Never know who was going to dominate. Mark Martin leads 40-something laps and wins the race.
When we come back to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed, we're going to take you through the next 150 laps here at this Southern 500, and we're going to see who can hold on in the end. Mark the Kid Martin held off everybody for a decisive victory at the Southern 500. The whole gang will get you ready for the big All-Star race on Monday's edition of This Week in NASCAR. Remember the pass in the grass? Or how about the first All-Star race under the lights? We'll take a look back at all the best All-Star moments. A studio audience will add extra excitement as Steve, Michael, Greg, and Chad break it all down. This Week in NASCAR, Monday, 8 Eastern, only on Speed. The very coveted Johnny Mance Trophy goes to Mark the Kid Martin and his team after a hard-fought, long victory, 500 miles here under a full moon at Darlington Raceway. When we left, Greg Biffle was in the lead. Let's pick the racing action back up where it looked like the Biff was going to dominate, but he's been in this position before and has come up empty-handed.
JR, you said it. You couldn't have said it any better. He has dominated this race in the past. Always something bites him. Later on in the race, you know, he gets loose. We'll look at those highlights. Stay tuned. But right now, he was so fast, it was ridiculous.
Rough couple of weeks for Denny Hamlin. He had the bad run in, well, not the bad run, but not the kind of run he wanted in Richmond. And now here he goes for a spin at Darlington.
Yeah, 4th in the points, and he just gets in the corner right there. And I noticed that. You know, fans, these guys are driving these cars fast, hard, and free. And the car just gets a little loose on him, and he ends up spinning. No harm, no foul. He gets in new tires.
David Reagan in the back of Jimmie Johnson a couple of times pretty hard, and then, well, we see him go for a spin.
Well, the 6 car lets the 48 by. And when he does that, you know, the 48 has a wrong entry, and it's all about geometry. The 6 car hits him, and this is what happens. He spins out.
The story of Jimmie Johnson tonight is one we will document a little bit later on in this, but he was all over the place, in the pits, on the racetrack, and came out with a fantastic finish, but that's a championship caliber finish for the 48 team.
And what's interesting, fans, this guy has no practice in this car. It just goes to show you the Hendrick camp, how well prepared they are. You know, Jimmie just, you remember, we know he was a lap down, and here he is battling back. This was tough right here. The 6 car just wrecks. I was talking to David myself, and he said, Jimmie, I thought I had a flat tire. I should have pitted. I said, well, I can hang on one more lap. Well, that's what happens, David. He admitted he made a mistake, and unfortunately for the UPS Ford, not too good tonight.
That's a seriously wadded up race car as we see some 3-wide racing going on. Brian Vickers is the meat in the sandwich between A.J. Allmendinger and Jimmie Johnson.
Well, and I mean, this is what this racetrack is producing now. I mean, it's 3 wide. The fans, you know, I looked in the grandstands. Look at this. This is why.
They were standing.
They stood. They never sat down. This is how great this race is. I mean, packed house because it's the only race. It's the Southern 500.
Second in points, Kurt Busch goes for a spin, and that brought out the 9th caution of the evening. But watch how deftly everybody, including Jimmie Johnson, misses the spinning number 2.
And give A.J. Allmendinger and Kevin Harvick a tremendous amount of credit for missing that wreck. You know, Kurt just got a little high, got like the 77, got a little loose. These guys are professionals. That's why they missed that, and everybody continued on, Kenny.
Now remember this when we show you the end results. Remember that this happened to Jimmie Johnson. Check it out, a spin in the pits.
Goes down a lap early in the race, gets spun out in the pits. You know, everybody was getting backed up. Here's another look. Now look, in-car camera. Here he goes. I'm going to make me a pit stop.
Oops.
Bam! He gets hit in the back by Kevin Harvick, entering his pits.
So the pit road can always be a dangerous place, and then you don't really know exactly what to do. Should I back out now? Am I clear? Do I get back in there? And here we see an end of a great streak going on. Clint Boyer had finished successfully in 83 consecutive races, had the longest current streak, but it ended here tonight at Darlington.
Well, here's the wreck that took him out, Johnny. Elliott Sadler gets a little bobbly there off the corner, tries to collect it, catches onto Clinton. Man,
big hit.
Off walls, Kenny. That was a major hit.
And listen to this stat. Clint climbs out. He's a little bruised, you know, stunned. But listen to this. He was one race away from tying the all-time DNF record. He does not beat it. One race away. Can you believe that?
80.
Well, I guess we can believe it here at the Lady in Black. They call it that for a reason. This is a very, very tough racetrack on drivers, and it also ended that streak. That is the man, Greg Biffle, and he is leading by about half a straightaway by the time he's done with this run.
We talked
and who's
about
in second place?
And that I want to give credit to, because they were experimenting. Zippy's back to where he was, making a lot of experimenting things, and it paid off for the 20 car tonight.
You don't see this too often. Kyle Busch up into the wall.
Something broke.
Yeah, right front tire, whatever. You can look here. Look at his left front. Well, anyway, you can see why he has to go to garage. He says, I have no brakes. His wheel is probably off. Everything's bent.
Yeah, but, man, he crushed all my M&Ms.
Oh,
I think they already melted because it was so hot.
I like the blue ones.
Look at the save here coming up by the veteran, Jeff Burton.
Oh, this is awesome. That there is what you call a great job by Jeff Burton. The car gets sideways. He fired that old Caterpillar up, straightened it back out.
Yep, he looked like he was going to be at Macon on May 25th. Run sideways. Look at this. Oh, now let me say something.
Go ahead.
Carl Edwards comes over his radio and says, I cannot believe my teammate Greg Biffle just put me in the wall. That's what he said on TV.
Well, you know, Kenny, the 16 car, a little aggressive right there, gets in the left rear quarter panel and does put Carl in the wall. I believe it was just a little miscalculation by the Biff.
A little bit of miscalculating going on there. No caution comes out as the 77 goes for a spin.
Hornish did not know Mark was underneath of him. You know, Mark Martin not going to wreck nobody. Hornish turns left to make a pass, but Mark's there.
But I think the big thing there, NASCAR should have thrown the caution. I don't agree with NASCAR not throwing a caution for the 77 spin.
This is a shame. One of the strongest cars all night long. Greg Biffle in the number 16 goes for a spin.
How many cars? The 16 here, the 2 car, you know, the 18 car. A lot of guys getting off of turn 2 to, off turn 4 tonight. Gets into the wall right there. Pretty important part of the racetrack. A lot of problems tonight off of 4.
And an important part of this race as well was the performance of Joey Logano. At this point in the race, he was in the second position. He would come out of the pits first a little ways down the road. So we're going to take a look at Joey Logano in just a moment, just how well he did on this track.
I truly believe they finally let this guy do some racing. This is a very intimidating track, and I think Joey Logano did an outstanding job tonight. And I think what he has done for his crew is given them a tremendous amount of confidence that, hey, guys, your pit stops are working, everything's working. This thing is starting to click for him. Good job to Gibbs Racing and Joey Logano and Home Depot.
And I have to agree with Jimmy Spencer. Sometimes when you go to a racetrack, you psychologically try to tell the driver everything. Well, when Joey Logano comes to Darlington, it's like, Joey, just race the racetrack. Race the racetrack, don't race nobody. Hey, he's like, hey, I'm going to go on vacation. Finally gets to do what he wants to do. Joey Logano finishes 9th.
Yeah, tough vacation there for Joey Logano, but he made the most of it. When we come back, we're going to take you to the checkered flag as Mark Martin continues to celebrate this big victory. And he also got a little congratulations from a 4-time champion and a 7-time Darlington winner, his teammate Jeff Gordon. Back with the checkers in a moment. Back at Darlington, where they brought back the name, the Southern 500 for this race, added 100 miles to this thing, and it was a long, tough fight for Mark Martin, but in the end, it was he who was squirting the champagne over top of his new Johnny Mance trophy. Let's take a look now at the last 67 laps of this race, and it was a hard-fought battle at this point, pretty much anybody's race, and we've got to give a call out to young Joey Logano. Has taken a lot of criticism so far this year, but here he is leading on one of the toughest tracks anywhere. And listen, credit to Zippy as crew chief and Joey Logano. They said right side tires only. Put him out first. Look at the kid. He drives away from Ryan Newman, a veteran, a big race winner, and Joey does not get shaken by it. So another wreck for the number 77. Sam Hornish Jr. had a tough night there. Brad Keselowski's behind him, but doesn't touch him. Yeah, Brad doesn't do nothing wrong here. This is just, you know, gets in the corner, puts the power a little quick, gets a little free, gets behind, wham, in the wall, and, you know, a pretty hard hit. Yeah, one of them racing deals. Now here, Mark the Kid Martin takes over the lead. And look at Jimmie Johnson. Remember, he was a lap down. He spun in the pits. And here he is chasing down his teammate for a possible victory. But he's going to have to get Mark Martin.
And the difference is not this corner, but the next corner. Mark Martin, his favorite corner, turns 3 and 4, runs it low. Here, look, they stay even here, but it's down around this next corner here where Mark Martin does all his work on Jimmie Johnson.
Well, they weren't done wrecking yet. 83 of Brian Vickers, 26 of Jamie McMurray get into each other, and it's Vickers who gets the wall.
Well, that was Vickers' own fault. He squeezed Jamie. Jamie had a good night going. That has to be one of the toughest luck drivers there is in that 26 car.
A couple of Hendrick Motorsports cars doing battle. One very young driver, one seasoned veteran driver, as Jeff Gordon takes that position away. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., he wasn't done spinning yet as he goes for a spin. Very disappointing evening for Jr. on a track where he definitely wants to score a win.
Yeah, I mean, this is disappointing to the fans. They're thinking, what do we got to do to get Jr. in victory lane?
Not a factor at all tonight, 88.
Now here's the battle for the lead. The two cars who were a factor. It looked like Jimmie Johnson was going to take the lead away from Mark Martin, but he was simply too tough. 39 of Ryan Newman and the 24 of Jeff Gordon. They are battling for position because let's remember, man, 10 races in, we're already starting to think about points. Every position matters.
Well, the key here, fans, is that we know these guys aren't pitting no more. Very critical that you've got to get this car when you can get him. And it looks like Jeff Gordon can't prevail on the 39.
So the 48 of Jimmie Johnson simply ran out of time as Mark Martin comes around to take his second checkered flag in 43 races. Crew Chief Alan Gustafson, yeah, you better smile and pump that fist because this is a huge win in the revival of the Southern 500. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed, we're going to get Mark the Kid Martin over here to talk to us about this big victory. You know what? If you win here, your car doesn't look good, but the trophy looks great. Welcome back, everybody, to the historic Darlington Raceway. Now, there are big races to win in NASCAR. The Southern 500 is one of those races you definitely want to win. And after 43 races at this track, Mark Martin's won twice. But, Mark, when you look back at this one, to win a race called the Southern 500, no matter when it's run, this one has to be up there with your best.
This is it, man. I tell you, it's just so incredible. But I'm going to take care of some business first. Happy Mother's Day, Arlene.
Good move.
This is a great present for you.
He's a smart man.
For sure. So, yeah, I wish you were here. Love you. No, it's just so incredible to drive. Alan Gustafson is just, he is the man. And I get more confidence all the time. Like, you know, we weren't that good on Friday in practice, and I just leave it to them. I tell them what that car's doing, and they study it. They put some stuff in there today, and I said, look, I don't question it. Just do it. And they're so good. It's taken so much pressure off of me, you know.
Mark, we're only 10, 11 races in the year. I don't know the exact number.
10.
Okay, we're 10 races in the year. You've won 25% of the poles and almost a little over 10%. 3 poles, 2 wins. I think this is your best start ever.
2 wins would be 20%.
I mean, yeah. hey, listen, in those blown motors you had at the start of the year, what do you think about this year?
Oh, I love this year, man. What are you talking about? This is the greatest. And, you know, Phoenix was just like a whirlwind. This is going to be just as special as Phoenix because it's really soaking in. And, I mean, it is Darlington, and it is the Southern 500. And I'm living a dream, guys. I can't believe I'm driving that race car.
You know, Mark, we hear it when Joe Gibbs comes on and Rick Hendrick and so many Jack Roush team sport. What were you thinking when your crew chief says, Mark, we're staying out on this racetrack, we're not pitting?
I was thinking we'll run out of gas because I'm a gas hog. I always get the worst gas mileage of all my teammates. I'm a gas hog. I've run out of gas 25 times when I thought I was going to win. And, you know, it just, you know, I just asked him a couple times, we got enough to make it? Yeah, save us every chance you get. So, but we did. I mean, we had plenty. The car was so fast that I could actually roll out of the throttle a lot part of the time. You know, except when the 48 was on my tail. I had it on the floor right there.
Right there you did.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mark, in case somebody hasn't told you yet, we unofficially have you now 11th in points. I know that's the big picture you guys are looking at. You're here to win everything. That's what you do. How does that sound, being 11th in points?
Yeah, I'd like to get a few more places up so that we've got a little cushion, you know, and keep this thing going. But it's a dream. This race team deserves to be in the chase, and we'll do everything that we can to make that happen. And if we fall short, it won't be for a lack of effort. It'll be for, you know, just stuff going wrong.
Mark, you ran a line in turns 3 and 4 that nobody ran tonight. You've run that line for 20 years at this racetrack. You look like the old Winn-Dixie Ford. Tell me what you did to keep that car down there? Because that is the line that won you the race.
You know, you have to keep the car turning. It really wants to push up off of 4. And if I'd run in up at the top, my car would want to push up off of 4 as well. So I could hook the bottom. What I had to do is I had to run very loose in 1 and 2 to make it hook the bottom down there. And, you know, Alan said, we got to just defend in 1 and 2 and get them in 3 and 4. And that was his strategy. You know, of course, it was mine, too. I was setting the car up for that. But, you know, he's so great. He's so smart. He's so bright. You know, I can't say enough about Alan.
Mark, you know, I mean, all they're talking about is, I mean, this is sensational, what you're doing. They're saying on network TV during the race that they don't think they'll see this again. You're in your 50. You're 50 and a half years old.
Yeah.
You got wrinkles on your face, and you're kicking their butts. I mean, what type of regimen are you still doing it, waking up at 5:30 and working out?
I've actually, because I'm doing the full schedule and everything, I've backed that up to more like 6:37.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Trying to get more rest. I'm putting a lot of effort into getting more rest. But, yeah, the regimen is still, it's still brutal. I mean, I'm still getting it just like I always did.
I wish I could be like you, Mark. Man.
There's something wrong with me, Herman. You know that.
Yes, we're both weird.
How excited are you coming next week at the Sprint All-Star race?
Oh, I'm so excited. First of all, you know, Arlene and my family gets to be there. Hopefully Mr. Hendrick will be out there. I love that race. I love it. I love my cars. Gosh, what's not?
They're in trouble.
What's not to like? Yeah, they're
wide
trouble,
open,
this
man.
guy. Yeah.
I'm just
They're
wide
in
open.
trouble, fans.
Hey, Mark, congratulations.
Mark, good
Great job. It was good to see. He's
Thank
very
you.
popular with the fans. Another great win for Mark Martin.
Let me say hey to the fans. Thank you, guys, and thanks to Cheez-It, CarQuest, and Chevrolet.
All right, as Mark Martin said just a moment ago, this is definitely a team sport. Now it is time for our Valvoline Protecting the Win segment of the show. And we're going to give this honor to crew chief Alan Gustafson. The decision not to pit, put the number 5 car and driver Mark Martin out in front, and he stayed there to take home the Johnny Mance Trophy at a Southern 500 championship. We'll be back with much more. There's the man right there, Alan. We'll be back to talk to him in a moment. Welcome back to Darlington, everyone. After the Southern 500, Mark Martin comes away with the win with Johnson, Stewart, Newman, and Gordon in the top 5. Now, what does that say with Brad Kozlowski in 7th? What does that say about Hendrick Motorsports, Spencer?
6 of the top 7 cars is Hendrick. I think if I was...
Say that again.
6 of the top 7 cars were Hendrick.
Wow.
I believe if I was messing around, I'd be buying a Chevy from Hendrick.
Hey, 2 quick notes, though, on that one. Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, top 10s, way to go.
Unbelievable.
Good job for those guys. But, you know, what a rally back for Harvick and Burt. Childress might be finding some light back at the end of the tunnel. Elliott Sadler, he stopped the bleeding. Boy, he surely
Great job.
that run.
A.J. Allmendinger, good finish as well. Now we start to get back in the field where the guys had some trouble. Regan Smith, another great finish. And again, he has finished every race he's ever started.
Let me give a shout out to Tony Raines, finishing 25th, because that team was flirting with falling outside the top 35. John Andretti out of the car up at Indy. Tony Raines, good job.
Brian Vickers in the 83 31st is not indicative of where he ran most of the day. And Kyle Busch was contending for this for a while, but he ended up well back in the pack.
Yeah, Kyle Busch had something break. Max Pappas, we saw what happened with Casey Mears and him, and you know, David Galey and Sterling, Bill Aney, these guys here weren't a factor in this race at all. So, but what I noticed tonight was just a tremendous amount of passing, a lot of pit strategy, and in turn, what we see is a big change in these points.
Jeff Gordon's on top, Tony Stewart's right beneath him, 29 back, and Kurt Busch, Jimmie Johnson.
He slipped up to 2nd now, Kenny. You know, this guy was 39 last week, 29 this week. It won't be long to smoke, but you know, a new change here. Mark Martin snuck up into this top 12. This here, guys, this is what I'm talking about. I'm excited. This is 11 of 36 races. This is the top 12. This is for the Sprint Cup, Kenny. That's going to be the key. Who is going to be out next week? Who's going to be in? It's going to be good.
And that's what I always say. You know, hey, it's good. You know, we got Jeff Gordon up there leading the points, but to me, it's about who's 12th, who's 13th. That's the real race. Those guys are having fun up there. 12th, 13th, 14th. Wow.
Now, there is a reason that you never write off the number 48 until the checkered flag waves. No matter where he's running, no matter what's going on in the pits, Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus find a way to get back up there before all is said and done. A 2nd place finish for Jimmie Johnson after a long night. Let's check in now with Bob Dillner.
To say that this was an eventful weekend for Jimmie Johnson would be probably an understatement, wouldn't it? But it turned out pretty good.
Big time understatement. Everything was good yesterday until qualifying, tore up the car, and then today, man, we had 4 or 5 issues come our way from being pinned in the pits when the caution came out, spun out trying to get in my pits one time, and some other issues. So to come back and overcome what we did today, I'm so proud of this race team, and I think it'll give us a big spring in our step moving forward. Know that if we overcame what we did tonight and this weekend in general, we can accomplish anything.
Made a couple runs on Mark Martin there, but couldn't get your teammate, could you?
No, I was the only thing I had for him was getting into 3 to maybe get to his outside, and I smoked it in there a couple times and thought I was going to pound the wall. And I'm like, you know what, I haven't finished in a couple weeks, and I don't need to take that risk. And I tried to put pressure on him as much as I could to make a mistake, and he made one small one, and he got to him, and then he just pulled back away. So at that point, we were close on fuel, and we had to be smart. But just a great performance. For all of Hendrick Motorsports, very, very proud of the race team.
Good job by Jimmie Johnson and the 48 bunch. 3 out of the top 5 here at Darlington Hendrick cars.
And you know, that is really nothing short of incredible when you look at what Jimmie Johnson, what happened to him over the course of 500 miles, and the mark of a championship team to come home second.
Well, go ahead, Spence.
Well, what to me, fans, is that when you think about tenacity, Jimmie Johnson's the guy that's got it. I mean, he never, ever wants to give up. And the thing is that Hendrick camp, you think you got him down and you're grinding on him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of the top 7.
You know, you run a 25-lap dirt race, and you go hard. You go hard, you wreck, it's over. But did you hear what Jimmie Johnson said? He says, I've wrecked the last couple weeks, figured I'd finish second. So, I mean, 3 weeks in a row, 3 strikes, you're out. I mean, get 3-time champion. Give credit where credit's due. I'm a 3-time champion. I'm Jimmie Johnson. I've wrecked 2 weeks in a row. Can't make it 3, weeks in a row. So he says, I can't get by Mark. Got to save fuel. I mean, so that was really interesting to hear that.
And even after all that, he's still in championship contending, heading into the house that Jimmy and Chad built at Lowe's Motor Speedway for the All-Star Race and the Coke 600. And race fans, we want to remind you that Scene Daily and SpeedTV.com have teamed up to form the most powerful online news in NASCAR. Visit SpeedTV.com now for in-depth analysis, breaking news, and more. And we'll be back in just a moment with more news from Darlington. Catch the race, catch the cash. Go to speedtv.com to win $250 in cash. Has all to do with the Sprint All-Star Race. Go to speedtv.com and you could win $250 in cash. Now, Tony Stewart has simply been running over everybody recently with the race team that has his name on it, and he didn't disappoint anybody tonight. Let's go back to Bob Dillner and a couple of guys who are glad to see each other.
The Bowtie Brigade, very tough here tonight at Darlington, owning the top 7 spots. And Tony Stewart, we're seeing him a lot in the top 5. Good to see you again. It was a tough fight, but you come out with a good finish.
It's great to see you, too. I mean, that normally means we've had a decent night. So just really proud of everybody at Stewart Haas. And Ryan had a great night. We had a great night. Just so appreciative to everybody at Hendrick Motorsports with the Hendrick chassis and engines. They've been giving us great stuff every week, and it makes our jobs easier when we come here. When we don't have to worry about motors, we don't have to worry about whether we got the right chassis deal. I mean, I haven't had to worry about that before, but it's nice to start your own deal, not have to worry about it now too. And those guys have been doing a great job for us. So just appreciative, Chevy and everybody at Office Depot and Old Spice and U.S. Army and Haas Automation and Coke. They've just been doing a great job. Mac Tools, everybody's just really proud of the effort everybody's put in. We've just been clicking them off week after week, and we haven't won one, but we've just been clicking them off.
It was fun to watch you tonight because you really battled through a lot of strategy and so forth, decision to pit or not to pit. It's a tough decision to make, wasn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, anytime they repave a racetrack, that's what you go through. But, this place will season in just like everywhere else has. And, it's a nightmare for the crew chiefs because they're the ones that have to sit there and make those calls. It's hard for us in the cars to do it because we don't see the lap times, we don't see the fall off. But one thing we knew is that if you got stuck about 12th or 15th, I mean, it's like you got stuck 24th to 30th with the lap cars. Just a brutal night dealing with lap cars again. Richmond was bad, this was bad. I mean, guys that are lap down are an absolute nuisance out there right now.
Here's what I like about Tony Stewart. He's second in points, and for the second straight week, he and his teammate Ryan Newman in the top 5. That's not too shabby.
I know some people in the sport that want to stand on top of the mountain and say, I built the car, I built the motor. Tony Stewart says, hey, our team gets our motors, are cars from Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, give Tony Stewart, Gene Haas a lot of credit because they got a team, but they're not too prideful to say we're going to build everything on our own. We're going to build this program. No, take a huge shortcut. Really refreshing to hear the great one, Tony Stewart, probably one of the greatest drivers to ever live, say, look, we don't build all our chassis. We don't build our motors. We get them from Hendrick Motorsports. Tony's rattled off 3 top 5s in a row because he's a good driver and a great organization buying all their cars and all their motors, you know, from Hendrick Motorsports.
Put that good equipment together with 2 great drivers, and that's what you got, championship contenders, and that's exactly what we saw from Tony Stewart tonight. You know, it was back in 2005 when Mark the Kid Martin dominated the All-Star race, leading 18 of the final 20 laps. Martin was sporting his 1993 retro paint scheme as he took the checkered flag a half a second ahead of Elliott Sadler. It was Mark Martin's second All-Star victory, and he collected a little over $1 million for the win.
I love that paint job, that retro look, and this is like a flashback to like 10 or 20 years ago.
It was a throwback paint job to back in the 90s, and the 06 car ran like it did back in the 90s that night.
It's been almost a year since Mark Martin went to victory lane in a Nextel Cup race at Dover, Delaware. He wants this race back.
Elliott's done everything he can, but Mark's just too good.
Mark Martin wins the Nextel All-Star Challenge and $1,101,000.
It was one of those nights that everything I did was right. It wasn't because I'm smarter than everybody else or anything else, you know. It has to do with sometimes with just luck, with what happens. But every move I made and everything I did that night happened to be just the right move and just the right thing and put us in a position to be, you know, in victory lane that night.
This one's for the fans. Salute to you. That's for you. That's for you.
Celebrating 25 years of All-Star memories. Don't miss the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on Speed, Saturday, May 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR on Speed. Be there.
It's the most spectacular all-star event in all of sports for an unbelievably low price. Tickets start at just $25, so come out and join us at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Call 800-455-FANS or buy online at lowesmotorspeedway.com.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge. Recreate, hibernate.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Darlington Raceway, where Hendrick Motorsports teammates Jimmie Johnson and Mark Martin battled for the lead. But let's not forget about another Hendrick Motorsports driver who also had to fight his way back into the thick of things, and that's 4-time champion Jeff Gordon. He showed why he's a champion tonight by battling back, getting a 5th-place finish, and holding on to the points lead. Let's go back to Bob.
What a night for Jeff Gordon here at Darlington Raceway. He's up front early, and then all sorts of heck broke loose. You know, got a lap down, had the vibration, but overcome everything for a great finish.
Yeah, we certainly did. It was an incredible team effort. I mean, you're going to have those issues from time to time, and it's unfortunate. We had an amazing car. I mean, I really felt like we had the car to beat, and we knew pit strategy was going to be crazy tonight. We knew there was no tire wear, and track position meant so much. And so, you know, that kind of played out early in the race, and you know, we were just waiting to see how the track was going to change. And then we had that vibration. We had a great pit stop, and we had a vibration, and, you know, I felt it getting worse. Anytime you feel a vibration getting worse, you got to hit pit road. So it was the right call, and those guys just fought back all night long from it. You know, you got to give them a lot of credit. I'm proud of them. Top 5, you know, maybe we could have won it if we played the strategy the way those guys did, but you know, I felt like Steve made a great call, and it looked like it was going to work there for a little while.
What would you change on the strategy? You know, playing Monday morning quarterback. Would you come in? Would you do what you did, or what, Jeff?
No, I think we'd stay out. You know, I mean, that's what won the race. So it's, you know, easy right now to say that we'd, you know, do it different. You know, last week it bit us. This week we had a great car and felt like, you know, we could pull it off with the 2 tires. And you know, I don't know. Maybe if we had come out first, you know, we might have. I mean, they had a great pit stop, but we were a little bit behind, and we got behind the 14 and the 1, and we got the 1, but couldn't get the 14. And you know, it looked like he was going to stroll up there and get those guys, and then all of a sudden, you know, it just stopped after that last caution.
Nevertheless, a great night for Hendrick Motorsports. Mark Martin in victory lane, and Jeff Gordon still your point leader.
Bob, thanks a lot. That is the big picture. Jeff Gordon leaves this Darlington Raceway as the point leader, and the drive for five championships is still well alive. Now, here's the good part. We're going back to Lowe's Motor Speedway in Charlotte, home event for everybody, and we will spend one weekend not talking about points.
But what I want to talk about before we get to that is the excitement this year. Mark Martin winning, Jeff Gordon being back, Kurt Busch winning. Who's going to win this All-Star race? First of all, $1 million cash.
$1 million.
$1 million. Now, you know what? I don't know what you would do, but these rascals will
wreck
I ain't
each
gonna
other.
go that far.
I'd wreck you two guys for a million.
They'll park their butts in the grandstands for $1 million.
Most people throughout the United States are calling me, and they're saying, Herm, we're going to the Sprint All-Star race covered on Speed TV because it happens, it's fast, we don't got to sit there all night long. So most people I know are coming next week to the All-Star race. It's aired right here on Speed TV. Tune in or be there.
I got news for you.
What is it?
The All-Star race is not the most important one. It's the qualifying race. Think of the guys that's in this qualifying race before. I mean, you either win this sucker or you go to the house. I mean, I've been there. I've been fortunate to get through there. We saw Casey Kane win this race last year and go on to win the Sprint All-Star.
He won the fan vote, Jimmy. Remember that?
Oh, that's right.
He won the fan vote, so that's yet another twist in this thing.
Yes.
Fans, you can still vote your favorite driver up in there, and that goes to show that that's not a farce. And once you get up there by the fan vote, you can still win. You got to be in it to win it, and that's another way to get there.
But Johnny, the thing is that race is exciting.
Oh, it is.
There's no question in my mind. Spend the $25, come to Lowe's Motor Speedway. Kenny, it's well worth it. It's going to be a show.
And race fans, come on down to Charlotte early. You know, come see Dale Jr.'s garage, Tony Stewart's, Roush's. Everything's right there. Make a big vacation out.
And come see us at the speed stage. Jimmy Spencer will sing and Kenny Wallace will dance. Want to say a big congratulations once again to Mark Martin for winning the revival of the Southern 500 here in Darlington. And again, want to say thanks to the folks here at Darlington who have been so hospitable to us here on Speed throughout the weekend. Darlington is too tough to tame, and as we head into All-Star Weekend, let's now take a look back in the rearview mirror.
Happy Mother's Day.
This is the toughest racetrack.
Have a great weekend, Mom.
That's our secret, man. You could though for checking out.
We gotta say happy Mother's Day to all our mothers. She was just reminding me about body training.
Take care of Mom on Mother's Day.
Holy cow.
Oh no, he's really not your favorite.